Hey YouTubers, this is Kevin from Survivor Super Fun Time Show, and we had another awesome episode of Survivor 49. This is episode 9. A lot of good stuff happened in this episode, and if you're a fan of Rizo, Savannah, and Blue Sophi, you're going to be pretty stoked about what happened in this one, because we had another victory for the fantastic trio, and they picked up another free agent on their side, Yellow Sophi, which is exciting because I'm starting to fall in love with Yellow Sophi. The face card, immaculate. The personality, immaculate. So I'm super stoked that it's progressing this way in the game. But before we get into the whole episode, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the Survivor Super Fun Time Show so we can continue to keep talking about Survivor together. Getting into the episode itself, it starts off with, it was a split tribal council the episode before, and the returning tribe coming back. Nobody seemed to want Yellow Sophi around anymore. Old Hina Alliance didn't want her around. Uli didn't want her around. Blue Sophi did. Nobody really wanted her around. But because Old Uli and Rizo and Savannah basically flipped the vote on MC, instead, they picked up Yellow Sophi, who's now going to be a free agent, especially when she sees that her old tribe is really bummed that she's still around and MC is gone. So that's like a lot of alarm bells for Yellow Sophi saying, what the fudge, guys? What do you mean you're upset that I'm here? So rightly so, she's now a free agent in the game. Love that for her. I'm someone who's falling in love with Yellow Sophi, so I figured why not? This is going to be exciting to see how it shapes up. Savannah and Rizo and Blue Sophi are just eating that all up because they can see the shift of balance and power in the game. It's so good what's coming ahead. And during this time, this debrief from the previous tribal council, Savannah tells Blue Sophi that I actually have an extra vote. So tonight I could have used it, but instead I decided to keep it. And that's when it was really solidified that Rizo, Blue Sophi, and Savannah are totally on the comeback, and they're getting ready to wallop the rest of this game. All right, the next day, everyone's still reeling from what happened in the previous episode. Steven needs to reassess his bonds and relationships. And Jawan and Sage have huge stock in this game. They can go back and forth. Like, their political and social capital is pretty huge at this moment. Steven recognizes that, and he says, wait, let me pull Sage aside and tell her something that is really important, that is going to benefit me more than other people before they get to tell her. And he tells her that the other day, Christina found the hidden immunity idol, which I thought was interesting because he also did not seem happy that Christina was the one who found the idol. He said, you'll never guess who found it. Christina. Which was my reaction as a fan. I didn't want Christina to find it either, but I didn't realize that Steven would have a problem with it too. But that's a big secret that was just given to Sage. And Sage, I guess, was not even willing to tell Jawan because it's that important that she keeps faith with Steven, someone that I think has really good bonds, has really good relationships, and is super charming. I'm excited to see Steven kind of make headway with another player. Maybe not Sage. I'm not a huge fan of Sage, admittedly, in this season, but can't argue she's got a lot of stock in the game. Everyone wants to talk to her. They're telling her secrets, and she's deciding the votes along with Jawan. So, she's playing a really awesome game, and Steven, I think, acknowledges that. He was kissing the ring a little bit. Thought that was interesting, but not as interesting as Sage not being willing to tell Jawan about it. That I thought was oddly interesting. Now, on the other side of it, coming off that vote, we see Yellow Sophi walking with Blue Sophi and Savannah basically saying, listen, I thought I had an alliance, but I guess not. I guess my freshman floor friends are not really my friends, and I need to be a free agent. I need to go out there and find other friends. And I think she was telling that to her new friends in Savannah and Blue Sophi. And I was excited in that moment because I am digging all of them to see them kind of form a triumvirate of sorts in that moment. Well, along with Rizo, I guess. A quartet is really what it would be, to move forward in this game together strong. And I love that. And it's important for Yellow Sophi to do that, especially because the rest of the tribe's discussion is Yellow Sophi needs to go. Obviously, there's a lot of people that want to throw votes on Rizo because of his idol, but if not Rizo, Yellow Sophi's the vote. And Rizo is happily laying into all this. He's like, yeah, I would love to get rid of Yellow Sophi. But then behind the scenes, he's like, why would I get rid of Yellow Sophi? Just like the previous vote. Why would I get rid of Yellow Sophi when I can get rid of someone else? And in this instance, rather than go with Alex's plan to put all the votes on Yellow Sophi and save Rizo, Rizzo's saying, screw that, man. I need to start building a case against Alex because he is clearly playing the middle between these two alliances of the old Hina versus the old Uli. Brilliant plan by Rizo if it can work, because I think a lot of players in this instance would say, great, it's not me, so let's let that plan happen and let Yellow Sophi be sacrificed. But Rizzo's not that kind of player. He's a different kind of guy, and I have to commend him for that, especially because it ends up working at the end of the episode, which is bonkers, but it does, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we have to get to the reward challenge. Basically, you have to split up into tribes once again. I know, classic Jeff Probst. He loves turning singles into huge giant tribes once again. So they split into two tribes with Little Sophi, Blue Sophi, sitting on the sideline choosing to support the yellow team versus the dastardly blue team. And wouldn't you know it, the blue team with Alex and Yellow Sophi and Savannah and Christina, they were the winners of this challenge, and they get to win fried chicken.
Fried chicken and waffles. Say it with me. Fried chicken and waffles. Fried chicken and waffles. There's fried chicken and waffles. They're what you want to eat. I'll get fried chicken and waffles. Right.
Christina, she said, can I give up my spot to Jawan? Because Jawan has not won any food up to this point. There was a moment where he said no, and Christina was crying a little bit and saying like, man, I just want him to have it. And after a lot of prodding from Probst and Christina, Jawan accepted it happily, I would imagine. I have to give credit to Christina on that one, obviously. I mean, that was a very sweet and genuinely nice thing that she did for Jawan. A lot of players would have been selfish and just kept eating. I mean, it was probably a little bit of a game move because Jawan is in the middle, like with Sage. So maybe that was like some boons to him. But regardless, that was probably a tough thing to give up, and it was really nice on Christina's part. She seems like a nice lady. But with that, when you also go to the chicken feast, that means you're also part of the chicken talk. So at the talk, I mean, Yellow Sophi's like, I'm done with those old people. And Alex is like, yeah, because that's what Alex does. Savannah obviously is rolling with that conversation as well. And Jawan's going to roll with it too because he's in the middle, so he can kind of say whatever. He can listen to it, absorb, and hear a pitch from this side that maybe wants to go a different direction that he had planned to. So it was actually really valuable time in order to have chicken together with Jawan and even Alex. I like this shot of Savannah eating a chicken though. What do you think Savannah named this chicken before she ate it? General Tso, Kentucky Fried, what do you think? Anyway, back at camp, Christina is also making moves of her own away from the chicken crew. She's talking to Sage about what potentially the vote would be. Because yeah, they want to get rid of Yellow Sophi, but why not a split vote between Rizo and Savannah? Because that's really been the task this whole time. They want to get rid of Rizzo's idol and make sure that that thing is flushed. And at the same time, if it had to be rebounded on someone, it should probably be Savannah. So that plan is put together, and Sage for the most part seems like she's into it. I think largely because there's been a lot of rocky road between Savannah and Sage. For some reason, they don't really like each other all that much. Right now, it feels like it is one-sided. It feels like Sage is kind of being the petty one about the whole thing. I don't know if that's just editing, not really sure. But what I can say is, even though Savannah has been kind of labeled or hyped as the mean girl of this season, I mean, Christine even said it during this segment that she gives off mean girl energy. Well, if that's the case, fine, I guess, but Sage is outright saying, well, I'm pretty petty about it, so I'm very on board with this. At this point as a fan, I'm going like, well, if there's really a mean girl this season, it's Sage, right? Like, it's gotta be Sage. If there's anyone that is talking more about the other, it's definitely Sage talking about Savannah. And strategically, who's voted out their allies more than Sage? I mean, at first I didn't think the Sage and Shannon thing was that big of a deal when Shannon was voted out and Sage wouldn't hug her. But now, even though it was actually very kind, now I think it was kind of mean girl behavior. Like, it was almost like politely embarrassing Shannon on the world stage about the hug. Like, she could have just hugged and let her go. And instead, no. And now I'm seeing this behavior from Sage after that. And I'm starting to think, okay, Sage is actually the mean petty one, if there is one. I mean, but it is all a game, so I guess there's no real mean or petty overall, I suppose. Maybe? I don't know. As a result of this, Christina is bringing in Sophi into this plan, Blue Sophi, saying, yeah, this is what we want to do. And Sophie's doing her best, nodding, saying yes, because no one really knows exactly where Sophi lands. I think for the most part, like, viewers know that Blue Sophi is with, Savannah and Rizo and Yellow Sophi at this point. But in the game, they're seeing her as a free agent. Like Blue Sophi, they probably think she's on the bottom and she has nowhere to go. She's made a lot of apologies. She's listened to a lot of talk, and she doesn't spend a ton of time with Savannah and Rizo, to the point where Hina thinks that she's totally entrenched, which is really smart on Blue Sophi's part. But Blue Sophi, of course, immediately takes that and tells Savannah they want to split the votes between Rizo and Savannah. So we need to figure something out. And what I loved from this that was kind of birthed from it was, at that point, Savannah then is feeling vulnerable and talks about, her tumultuous past in the newsroom, and reveals to Blue Sophi, hey, I didn't expect to tell anyone about this, but I'm actually a former anchor news reporter, and you need to keep that shit quiet. I think Blue Sophi did her most fake I'm shocked face about that, because even though I was a journalism student, and I think being a reporter can actually show some attributes where you're a bit of a killer of a player in Survivor. I think it can, but for the most part, of all the jobs to reveal, that's probably not one that people are going to have their mind blown by, or they're going to want to spread to everyone else. At that point, it's probably a bigger deal that you lied about it more than the actual job itself. So this is one of those times where I had to laugh a little bit when Savannah revealed it. I'm like, well, it's not like you just revealed that, you know, you were the president or you used to be Magneto from X-Men or something. Instead, it was actually kind of a minor thing. I think those moments kind of lose their value the more we see them happen. So like Survivor 45, when there were like secret lawyers all over the place, I guess that was kind of cool, sort of, mainly because you're making an argument in front of a jury that could affect at the end of the game. Whereas the news reporter stuff with Savannah, I mean, they know who Savannah is at this point. I don't think it means anything. All right, the immunity challenge. Immunity challenge comes up where everyone basically is doing a giant core exercise where they have to lean back and use their legs to hold up a disc against a flat wall. And there's 2 immunity necklace holders this episode. I don't really know why. For some reason, Jeff said we need a men's and a women's one. I'm assuming because he knows that this kind of challenge typically favors women, I think. At least the way I see it, the chances are the legs can go out straight a little easier. But who knows? I don't know. I don't know why there was a men's and a woman's otherwise. Or maybe he was just feeling saucy and wanted to give out 2 necklaces. I don't know. I did appreciate during this time, because obviously it's endurance, it's boring. Steven really shined in this one. Not only did he kick ass and he won the immunity necklace himself, but he did one of those classic Christian Hibiki moments from David vs. Goliath where while everyone is trying to concentrate and trying to tolerate this really tough task, he instead is like, let me tell you facts about really smart things. Let's discuss. And he talks about the earth and space and all that. Loved it from Steven. He's a witty chap. He's someone I don't talk about enough in these videos because he hasn't really been a main character in this season. But I hope he does a little bit more as it grinds down because he's someone people seem to trust. He's easy to talk to. He's smart. He's good at challenges. I'm really glad he won that necklace and was not an option to be voted out this episode because I really like him. As for the women's necklace, it came down to Sophie, Yellow Sophie, and Savannah. Of course, Yellow Sophie and Savannah, just like last time, they had a bit of a showdown. They're having one this time around too. These two with impossible face cards that are total badasses in these challenges. They went head to head. And I actually really love Savannah more or less like nicely saying to Yellow Sophie, yeah, I'm not dropping, so you should probably drop. And I think that's great and it's competitive. And I think it's a psychological game that she was playing that is worth playing. She won the necklace in the end. Now, Yellow Sophie, if she felt differently about it, I get it. But Savannah was locked in like Savannah gets locked in. And I love that. It's good smack talk, good healthy competition. She ends up winning the necklace twice in a row. Now with Savannah no longer in the calculations for the vote, obviously they can't split on Rizo and her. Instead, sounds like the split will be between Rizo and Blue Sophi, which is a nice little surprise. But Rizzo's not interested in that. Rizo is going to do everything he can to flip the vote onto Alex, to make Jawan and Sage understand that Alex is someone that cannot be trusted. In fact, he even lied to Jawan about some of the stuff that Alex is saying. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is playing the middle, but there's some exaggerated and elaborated things that were said from Rizo that fully worked in the favor of Savannah, Blue Sophi, and Yellow Sophi to really get rid of this guy. But ultimately, Jawan and Sage are the ones that have to decide what's going to happen, which is kind of crazy. But you go to Tribal Council and decision has to be made. Who's going to go? Is the vote split going to happen? Is Rizo going to play his idol? No! Somehow, once again, 3 tribals in a row, Rizo has been able to keep that idol in his pocket and not play it. In this episode, he didn't even have a vote split happen. It wasn't even anywhere close to that because Jawan and Sage ultimately sided with Rizo and voted Alex out of the game for playing the middle. Rizo gets to keep his idol, Blue Sophi gets to stay in the game and keep her knowledge's power that no one knows about. Savannah gets to keep her extra vote. I mean, there's a steamroll ahead for people if they don't start acting right. And I love it. I mean, the balls on Rizo to not play that idol for the 3rd tribal in a row. I don't even know how you do that, right? You got to be sitting there saying like, all right, well, I heard my name all day. How do I not play this thing and guarantee the next day? It would make sense to play it because we all saw Survivor 46. People got voted out over and over again with an idol in their pocket. Rizo, he's genuine when he said 10 and 4th are the same to him. And I appreciate that. And you know what? He's a killer. He's there to play too. But sadly, Alex is kicked out of the game. Someone that I actually thought would go a little bit further in the game. Seemed like he was kind of resting, going in between instead of picking a side and riding with it. And unfortunately, that cost him in the end. So long, Alex. You were wonderful at the game. You're a smart guy. And now, little Blue Sophi is the last remaining Kella in the game. I'm not surprised by that. She seemed like she was going to be, but it's nice to get confirmation about that. Jake would be so proud. Next episode looks really interesting because now, even though, you know, Blue Sophi, Rizo, and Savannah have a lot of power in the game, Christina has that hidden immunity idol. Now, is she going to play it, save her own butt, save someone else, or is Blue Sophi going to steal that idol if she finds out about it? I am really interested to see what happens, because the word's out there now. Steven already told it to Sage. Will Sage tell it to Jawan? Will Jawan tell it to someone else? Will Sage tell it to someone else? The word's out there. Now, the question is, will Blue Sophi let anyone know she has knowledge is power? I don't know, but I can't wait to see. But that's going to do it for the episode. Thank you again for watching the Survivor Super Fun Time show. Got some awesome stuff coming up in the future. Thank you all again, and I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day. You take care.